I said, oh, love it. And Kim looked at me like, seriously? Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with Missouri. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at OxiaTime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Back for another preview episode against...
Here we are. We got Missouri coming up, right?
Yeah. The team that we're not sure why they're in the SEC.
The geographic anomaly.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with anything like opponent-wise of my bourbon collection, but I'm going with the Russell's Reserve 10-year tonight, John.
Okay, so no correlation, just what you had.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had the 10-year. I'm not sure if I've had the 10-year.
I've had this bottle for a while, but I actually just opened it. So this is I've never had it. Yeah.
What kind of sociopath are you where you have unopened bourbon that you're like that's a foreign concept to me. Every bottle I have is open.
Got it.
Unless it's a backup bottle. I have E.H. Taylor. It is the color scheme of the Missouri Tigers, what is it, gold and black or whatever.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. That was my contribution for the opponent this week. Normally wouldn't drink this. However, I do have a backup bottle, which is unopened.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of get into my usual habits, and I drink the usual suspects, and sometimes I like to have something on hand that I haven't had before, and I can open it. So yeah, I don't know. Reaching it, opened up the cabinet. I was like, what am I going to drink tonight? Opened the cabinet. It was actually sitting right in front, so I just grabbed it.
Yeah, E.H. Taylor is really like it's a fantastic bourbon. It's just there's not enough good stuff that you can say about it. Like it's harder to get than Special Reserve for me. John's probably laughing a little bit on that one because he seems to get it he seems to get it easy peasy.
The E.H. Taylor?
The E.H. Taylor, yeah, the small batch.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've never seen a bottle of it in the wild.
Yeah,
personally.
it's super hard. Matter of fact, like the only reason I have the backup bottle is because I'm basically like hound in my local store. Like, hey, did you get it? You take a lot of no's,
right,
in that game,
right.
To get to a handful of yeses, which when they come up, you try to grab them.
Yeah, no, I mean that's how I am with my stuff. I just rarely see the stuff pop up. Whenever I see it, I grab it. Can you believe that these guys have been in the SEC for 11 years?
It is kind of wild. I mean, I guess that I kind of bundled them with the Texas A&M situation, because we haven't been there. So
right. I mean, and that's the thing, right? They came into the league the same year. When we played these guys, like, I don't know, it's so weird. Like, why are we playing them annually and we've still never been to Texas A&M? It's weird. I know that'll all change next year.
Everything changes next year.
So I guess that at least that piece goes out. And we're not going to be playing these guys annually after this year. So maybe we should savor that, John.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that this is one of those games that's just like there. It just is. There's no significance to it at all for us. So like on the one hand, I'm like, don't let the door hit you on the way out kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about these guys. They have a really cool guy on TikTok that does tailgate videos.
True. That is true.
I think that Greg and them were trying to get him to come to the tailgate so that they could have a little cook off or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think that's happening.
I think it is happening.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is. So that'll be interesting. That'll be
We're
fun.
gonna have to have JT come by and they can do like a TikTok off or something like that.
That's funny.
The king of Georgia TikTok and the king of Missouri TikTok together.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, we have a collab, TikTok collab at the tailgate.
I don't even know the guy's name. I should note it, but if you haven't, just Google like Missouri tailgate or whatever. I think he's like tailgate dad or something like that, or tailgate king or something.
Yeah. Oh, I could probably find it. I know Greg has sent his info my way. But yeah, I don't know, man. I never really understood why these guys are in the SEC, but it is what it is at this point. It doesn't feel like it's been 11 years though. Cause it was 2012 was the first time was that year they came into the league. It's kind of crazy. Time flies, but, I still don't get it. Crazy. At any rate, we don't have a, Ole Miss game time to announce tonight because that got the 6-day window. So CBS put the 6-day hold on the Ole Miss game next week. So that is TBD. So that game will be either 3:30 on CBS or 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. On some semblance of ESPN network. And I think we talked about this before, right? So you can only be on CBS 5 times, but they can exercise a waiver to put you on a 6th time. So if the Ole Miss game winds up on CBS, then we know that Georgia at Tennessee would not be on CBS the following week. So one to watch there because it'll impact the rest of the season as well. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think pretty much just kind of pending the results of all the games this weekend, and then they'll figure it out. So at any rate, I did want to say, I want to make sure to remind everyone, if you're going to be in Athens, this is the homecoming game. So we have homecoming this weekend, and on Friday night, before the game at the Foundry, there is an event, home field homecoming. So we'll put the info in the show notes. We'll tweet it out. I know Graham Coffee has tweeted it out, but it's basically with Dog Central and Home Field Apparel. Going to be at the Foundry. It's free, but you do have to RSVP. I know spots were filling up, so you can take a look. I'm not sure how many are left, but you can go and do that. I'll be there. I know Graham Coffee will be there. John Tweets will be there, and George Foster will be there. So it should be a good time. It's going to be like a live podcast recorded in the evening. The entire thing runs from 5 to 10. So if you're in town ahead of the game on Friday, swing by the Foundry. Would love to see folks there. So just wanted to remind everybody of that.
That's going to be a good time, man. It's going to be it's going to be a good opportunity for Dog Twitter to get together again.
Yeah, I've heard there may be some other surprise guests. I don't know what that might like. It will actually be a surprise to me. I actually have not asked Graham like what that means. But it sounds like some other folks may show up too. So okay. Looking forward to it. Yeah. So, and I've never met Big George in person, other than we went to school together. But I don't remember actually ever coming across George in college. Although, wait, didn't he come to the fraternity house once?
Yeah, he's been to the fraternity house.
Okay. Man, see, I don't remember that. I remember guys coming by, but I don't remember George for some reason.
He and some of those guys came by. I'm pretty sure he came with, I want to say, was he on the team with Thomas Brown?
No, he was gone.
He was gone? Okay.
Yeah, George's last season, he was actually like George is like my age. Like we graduated high school the same year. And he actually redshirted. Like I make the joke that I redshirted. George actually redshirted. So we both did the 4.5 years at Georgia, from what I can recall. So 02, that 02 championship team was Georgia's last team.
The 02 championship game. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would have been like Pollock and those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fred Gibson. I remember Fred used to come a lot.
Fred definitely came by. Yeah, and he brought Mike Patrick and some of those, and maybe he came with some of those guys. I don't know.
Yeah,
because I know Pollock had been there. He came to the concert that we had with Phil Vassar that year, I believe.
Yeah. So, anyways, our random college remembering things.
So Missouri.
Let's jump in. So matchup notes. Saturday Kickoff is at 3:30. It is on CBS, but it is not the CBS game of the week. Saturday is one of those doubleheader days. So the night game is LSU Alabama, which means we will not have Brad and Gary. We will have Rich Waltz doing play-by-play, Aaron Taylor as the analyst, and Amanda Guerra on the sideline. Dogs come in 8-0, 5-0 in the SEC. Missouri comes in at 7-1, 3-1 in the SEC. So this is AP number 1 versus AP number 14. So we got a top 15 matchup between the hedges. The official hashtag, which we should use, John, because now we know that helps us, is hashtag MIZ versus UGA. Like we mentioned, these guys joined the SEC in 2012. We own the all-time series record at 11-1. They've only beat us one time ever. And last year was the nail biter. We beat them 26-22 in Columbia, Missouri last year. Looks like a nice fall day. So temperatures dropping. So on Saturday, there's a high of 71. That should be actually right at kickoff. The low that day is 35, but that's like in the morning. So no impact there. But should be like around like 60 or so at the end of the game. So should be a nice fall day. I looked, I didn't see anything about swirling winds, John.
No swirling winds, but it's definitely getting chilly here in Georgia. That's for sure.
Yeah.
As we speak, the temperatures are dropping precipitously outside right now, because I think the low tomorrow is supposed to be like 29 or something like that in here.
Yeah. So I'm not going to make the mistake that I made a Kentucky game and be totally unprepared. I'll be prepared for the weather.
Are you going to bring the blanket you purchased?
Good question. Probably not. Lily, that is Lily's blanket. That is like hers that she keeps on the couch. That is my blanket. So yeah, probably not.
Part of the justification for that purchase was that it's a free use blanket, which at this point we probably have like 15 blankets around this house. I'm like, kids are always like, where's the blankets? I'm like, I don't know, there's like 15 of them.
Yes.
Find one.
Yes, that sounds like our house. Oh man. So yeah, but no, yeah, I'll just I don't know, I got to pick out the right fit, but I'll have some sort of hoodie or pullover or jacket or something. I'll be ready for the weather this time.
I would just wear what you wore for the Florida game at work, right?
True. Now remember, I subscribe to Hunter's Theory. I change it up a little bit every week. So
no.
Hey, you do what works for you. I'm doing what works for me. I just have to wear a hat, as we discussed in the Florida review.
Okay. Make sure you pack your hat.
That's right. All right, that's it for the matchup. You got any fun facts or any history for us this week, JP?
I do have some history, but I'm going to hit you with some fun factish, like JP's typical fun factish items.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do you know about Missouri, Jim?
Show me.
That's all I know. It is the show me state.
Show me.
That was perfect. We're hoping that the Bulldogs definitely show them an awful time on the field. But University of Missouri actually it was the very first university that was founded in Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase.
Okay, I did not know that.
So yeah, I did not know that either. I know that we've done this before. If you want to get the real history, like you can go back to some of these other ones. They're called the Tigers, which is named after a Civil War regiment. That's why they're named the Tigers. You may be wondering, well, there's not that many Tigers in Missouri. That is where the name comes from. They are actually, as we've joked about on this podcast, they are University of Missouri Columbia. So they are one of those directional, kind of situations.
Okay.
So we should not call them University of Missouri. It's the University of Missouri Columbia.
Okay.
You may be wondering why they're called Mizzou. That nickname, moniker, whatever, dates back to 1905, which is basically when they had the fight song or whatever, which basically stands for their initials, MSU, Mizzou, which is where that comes from. Basically like started the whole idea and concept of a homecoming celebration.
Mm.
So that's something that's kind of fun. I don't have any numbers on our dates on like when that started, but that's in their like fun facts situation. Their mascot is named the Truman Tiger. Is named so because of one of the most famous Missourians ever, which is President Harry S. Truman. To that end, there are a number of there's a lot of famous alumni that come from the University of Missouri. Do you know anybody that went to Missouri, Jim?
I can't think of any non-athletes.
Well, there's a lot of non-athletes. Tom Berenger.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Tom Berenger, famous for Major League.
Major League, yeah.
Actually, one of my more favorite cult films that maybe you've heard of it, The Substitute.
Yes.
Man, talking about a great like cult classic. If you've not seen The Substitute, you should go check it out. Especially if you like Tom Berenger.
All right, let me hit you with a random Tom Berenger movie.
Okay.
You ever seen a movie called Shattered?
Mm-mm.
Okay, go watch it. This is our version of the Entertainments. Shout out to the Second String who had a Florida preview, by the way. Go check it out, JP. Shattered. I have not seen it in a long time, but it's another Wood family classic. So
okay. Sticking to the film category. Chris Cooper,
American Pie, right?
American Pie, also adaptation, for which he's won an Academy Award winning actor. Also John Hamm.
Oh wait, hold on. Chris Cooper, not American Pie. That's a different Chris.
No, you're thinking of American Beauty.
American Beauty. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, I knew what you were talking about.
Yes, I said American Pie. Yes, American Beauty.
I speak fluent Jim Wood.
we both do that.
Yes.
Nice.
Let's see, John Hamm. Also Brad Pitt.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm guessing Brad Pitt. Did he graduate? Or is that like a Ryan Seacrest situation?
Honestly, he's listed. Let's see here. Oh, he's one credit short of graduation, actually.
Oh man, so close. Got to finish that.
Seriously. That's according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
Yeah, one credit short. Like, dude, like just like mail it in, right?
Right. Seriously.
Let's see here. George C. Scott is also an alumni from there. Let's see, what are some other interesting ones? Let's see, we've got Tennessee Williams, famous playwright, Cat on a Hot Tent Roof, Streetcar Named Desire, etc. Let's see, Mort Walker is an alumni who is famous for the creation of Beetle Bailey, the comic Beetle Bailey. Maybe you're familiar with that.
I remember Beetle Bailey.
Yeah. Comics aren't so popular anymore these days. Like my kids like never read like the Sunday comics. That was like what like my dad would always be sitting at the kitchen table reading the newspaper, and I would always grab the comics. It's not a thing anymore. It's weird.
These days kids know about the Archie characters from the show Riverdale instead of like actually reading Archie. But anyway.
Nice. Another very famous singer, Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay.
Actually, an alumnus of Missouri. Let's see here, a couple other ones. I do like seriously, like it's kind of crazy, like the amount of people that have.
This is an extensive list.
Yeah, seriously,
I'm surprised. And if we talked about this last year, I have zero recollection of any of this.
We probably didn't talk about this last year because I don't remember any of these. I feel like I would have noticed this. The founder of Panda Express.
Okay.
An alumni, Andrew Chern, I believe his name. Check the pronunciation on me, Scott Howard. But I thought that was a pretty notable one. Kenneth Lay. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but former CEO of Enron.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, yeah. There's a lot of business and there's a lot of business and like politicians, sports, obviously. Although one of the sports ones that is relevant currently, I think that I haven't been watching the World Series, but Max Scherzer, he's an alumni of He's an alumni of Missouri.
I know the World Series has started, but I have no idea how it stands or anything.
Yeah, Max Scherzer.
I tuned out.
Yeah, seriously. Like, but baseball's still going on? I didn't know this.
I just think of Chase Daniel because he had like the best NFL career ever. He's a career backup and he's made so much money. So
right.
He's a Missouri Tiger.
I will give you one final famous alumni, and then we can move on because I feel like we're laboring this one. But Skip Carey.
Oh, okay.
Former broadcaster for the Atlanta Braves.
Now I am wondering if we did mention that last year. Maybe
not.
That one I feel like I've heard. I feel like I've heard that one before.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, nice. I think we've got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We do have the history. We do have the actual history to go through. Missouri is famous for a lot of things. One of their most famous things is that they are the very first university in the world to have its own journalism school. In 1908, they founded the world's first journalism school. They are also the sole source of nuclear isotopes that are used for nuclear medicine for the United States. They have a research reactor center. That was a big part of it. The other thing that they're famous for, since they were part of Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase, the Jefferson family has donated his original tombstone. So Thomas Jefferson's original tombstone is actually on the campus at the University of Missouri.
Interesting.
All right. So a couple of things with that. So I mentioned the campus itself. If you've ever been, apparently I haven't been. Have you been to the University of Missouri?
I have not. No,
I've not. But it seems like that it's a pretty campus, and part of the reason that it is a beautiful campus is because it is actually managed as a botanical garden. There are a number of like historic registry type buildings on the campus at University of Missouri, but I didn't know that. I don't remember researching that previously, but yeah, managed as a botanical garden, so makes sense that it would be a beautiful campus.
Nice.
Very important to the university itself is that they were actually involved in integration. They were one of the first universities to integrate at a higher level because there's a very famous case, Lloyd Gaines, lobbied to be admitted into the university. He was originally denied admission to the graduate school. He was one of the 4 graduates that graduated from Lincoln University, which is a traditionally Black college. It's about 30 miles away in Jefferson City. But he lobbied the Supreme Court and won in a very famous court case, which basically paved the way for integration of universities.
Gotcha.
On that note, that will pivot us to the Hergert Library submission from Jason Hasty for the ties to the university and Missouri in that vein with integration. Okay, so all of that under the context. So we begin with Jason Hasty's submission for us this week. Georgia and Missouri share very little history. The teams have only met 12 times, and only one of those games came before Missouri joined the SEC in 2012. That one meeting before 2012, however, held significance far beyond the action on the field, as we discussed. Wally Butts, famous for Butts-Mehre building, among other things. Wally Butts, in his 21st season, 21, may Kirby reign for 21 seasons, Jim. In his 21st season as Georgia's head coach, led the 1959 Bulldogs to an SEC title. The team was then matched against Missouri in the then Big 7 conference, which I'm assuming is the Big 7 the prelude to the Big 12? Was that?
Oh, I would have the Big 12.
I mean, I'm just going off of the big moniker there.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I know like a lot of those teams used to be in like what was called the Southwest Conference.
Southwest Conference. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Anyway, then in the Big Seven conference, they played Missouri in the Orange Bowl. On Missouri's roster were two black athletes, Nora Stevenson and Mel West. At a time before the University of Georgia had opened its doors to students of all colors, Missouri was the Bulldogs' first integrated opponent in a bowl game. That's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
Just to think about how far things have come. 1959. That's not that long ago.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts.
The very first time a Bulldog team in any sport competed against an integrated team was only 10 years before this. On September 29th, 1950, the Bulldogs football team played the St. Mary's Galloping Gales in Kezar Stadium in San Francisco. The Gales roster included black running back John Henry Johnson, who led the Gales to a 7-7 tie, despite Georgia being heavily favored to win. Johnson would go on to a Pro Football Hall of Fame career, mostly with the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to 100 Stanford and Lamar Loveless. I wonder if Lamar knows this guy. I'm assuming he does, but or knows of his history, I guess is what I should say.
Right.
The first integrated game in Sanford Stadium was on November 2nd, 1968, when the Bulldogs played Houston Cougars and their star running back, Paul Gibson, to a 10-10 tie. So we're going to continue in that vein of the integration and first black athletes and et cetera, to kind of hammer this home. So in 1971, the first black athletes joined the University of Georgia football team. But under the rules of the era, freshmen were ineligible for varsity competition. So the University of Georgia's very first varsity team took the field in 1972. Yeah, still so crazy.
Also crazy. Yeah,
still just mind boggling.
Yeah.
So if you take that into context, so it took 20 plus years for the University of Georgia and the Southeast and things in the South to fully integrate. After playing against them in 1950, just to hammer that home.
Yeah.
Okay. The games against St. Mary's, Missouri, and Houston seem obscure, but they're important milestones along the way to opening the University of Georgia to all athletes, basically, and allowing us to get to the point where we're at today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I add the context that I mentioned about the Supreme Court case with Mr. Gaines. It's all under the umbrella of the University of Missouri has played a pretty important part to integration in the South. So maybe that's the connection, Jim, to them being in the Southeast Conference.
There we go. I will accept that. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think of how recent that is. It's pretty nuts. So, all right, Jason Hasty, thank you again. This was a good one. We literally learning things about this stuff. This is awesome. Appreciate you and everything you do at the Hargrett Library. And definitely also, if you're in town, you can always go stop by the Hargrett Library on Fridays as well. Go check out the exhibit. Go check out the exhibits.
Swing by the library, and then swing by the home field gathering.
Exactly. Plenty to do on homecoming weekend.
We're here to give you the itineraries, folks.
That's right. All right, let's get into this. So, when Georgia has the ball, let's talk about the offense defense matchup here. So, some notable defenders for Missouri. Leading tackler is Tyron Hopper. He's a senior linebacker. He's got 43 total tackles and 2 sacks. Chris Abrams-Drain is a junior defensive back. He leads the team with 4 interceptions. That's tied for second in the SEC on the season. And then Darius Robinson is a senior defensive lineman. He leads Missouri with 4.5 sacks on the season. So this team, this is the best team we played. You can obviously just look at the rankings there. This team is mainly composed of guys who were there last year. So that team that took us to the wire in Missouri last year, most of those guys are back. And I went back and rewatched a little bit of the game from last year, John. And actually, what jumped out to me actually was their defense and what their defense was able to do to our offense and make Stetson Bennett uncomfortable, right? So we've talked about SEC. It's a line of scrimmage game. I mean, this is a tough team. They're physical. Interested to see what Bobo has dialed up here. I think the home field advantage is going to be like we're not playing in Missouri, and they're not sneaking up on us this year like they were able to last year.
What was their defense ranked last year? Did you by chance look at that?
I did not. No,
because I feel like their defense is fairly, pedestrian or whatever. Like, there's nothing like that jumps out at you like UGA, for example.
Right. Yeah, they're what? So they're 38th in FBS and total yards allowed a game. 63rd in yards passing a game. Their rushing defense is the better piece of their defense. So they give up like 100.
Yeah, they're still giving up like 150 yards, right?
Yeah, they give up 112 rushing yards a game. Okay. So, but yeah, they're allowing 23 points a game. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't jump off. I mean, you watch Missouri to watch their offense, so which we'll get to in a bit. But that's their strength. Is their offense. But that was the thing, was just going back and looking at that last year. I was actually kind of surprised. Like I had kind of forgotten, I guess, like how much pressure they were able to get on Stetson in Missouri, in Columbia last year. But I don't know. That's where I'm saying. I think so much of that was the environment. It was night game on the road. It was cold. It was really, really cold that game. And I don't think we took them seriously. Like, remember last year we had the whole like kind of dust up in the pregame. Remember like
Jalen and those guys came by and like, yeah, it was a whole thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I expect us to, contrast that to Georgia's offense, right? I mean, dude, number 4 in the country in yards a game. The Mike Bobo coordinated offense is. So, and Carson Beck leads the number 4 passing yards per game offense in FBS. Our offense is legit, man.
Yeah.
What about, so last week we had the homecoming for Carson Beck in Jacksonville. This week we have Dominic Lovett going up against his old squad, which that was something that jumped out to me. So I watched basically like a highlight package from last year's Missouri game. One thing that definitely jumped out was like all the big pass plays last year were to Dominic Lovett. So I was kind of laughing at that.
Was Luther Burden on that team?
He was. Yeah.
How did he do in that game?
He didn't do a whole lot. He was a true freshman.
Yeah.
Just pretty much Lovett.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be looking for that for sure when it gets to our defense, but I know we're talking about the offense. But yeah, Lovett was the guy last year. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this game a little bit. Kind of skipping ahead a little bit. I'm on the one hand, I foresee like a complete blowout, which to touch on that and to go, maybe fast forward a little bit on the game notes here, but like the line on this game had opened at like, what did the line open at?
It opened at 17. It's down. It's down to 15.
It's down to, but still, like,
yeah, it's a lot of points for a top 15 matchup.
Exactly. Like the line opened at 17 and it hasn't really moved all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big gambler. I don't know how big 2 points is, but it doesn't seem like that's that big of a deal. But like, I guess the point, like the takeaway there is like it opened at 17 and immediately dropped.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. I kind of expect our offense to do
what it does.
Exactly. And I mean, their one loss was to LSU, and I mean LSU put up 49 points on them, so it's 49-39. I know they had a pick 6 late, but again, you get them behind, you get them trying to play catch up, like they got there late in that game, and I don't know. But at any rate, I think our offense will do what our offense does. I said, I feel like so much of their defensive success last year, honestly, was the environment. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very much like that line that we opened up on is there for a reason, because it feels like a situation where they are going to be playing catch up, and it's more of a question of can they outscore our offense basically.
Right.
And I just don't see them being able to do that against our defense kind of situation. So like from our offense versus their defense, what are you looking for? I'm looking for our offensive line, which we haven't really talked about the offensive line really at all the last several games. Like last game, and I want to like I didn't mention it in the review, but at one point I believe Gary like made like an off color joke or whatever. It wasn't off color, but he just made a joke offhandedly that this Georgia offensive line wants to win the whatever the best offensive line award is. I can't remember what it's called.
Whatever it is that Michigan keeps winning every year.
Whatever it is that Michigan keeps winning every year. Exactly. God, it's gonna bother me. What's the name of that trophy? Anyway, like he made a joke that this team really wants to win that trophy. And I think that they rank near the top of the country in terms of like in terms of that offensive line metric for sacks. Like we haven't really given up a whole lot of sacks. Like Carson Beck has been able to basically sit back. Part of the reason he's gotten to where he is that, he's been able to deal back there. And when he's put on the turf is where we've kind of struggled a little bit. But, it feels like that this offensive line is kind of taking shape, kind of similar to the defense. The defensive line I feel like it's kind of starting to take shape where we're we've kind of figured out our roster at this point, right? Like we had we had Mims go down. We've shuffled guys around. We had kind of a late minute, it felt like a late minute change to the starting right tackle before the Florida game, right? I think that Graham's notes kind of mentioned that, on things to look out for the starting offensive lineman right up until game time, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be looking for our offensive line to basically hold serve to what they've done all season long. And if that happens, you like our chances, because I don't think that they can catch up.
Yeah. I agree. I think what we've been seeing this team do is throwing to set up the run. And I think we continue to see that. And as we know, McConkey's back on his donkey. We got Delta Brother out. I think we're set up well to do that.
Yeah. A couple of those players that you mentioned. So I guess just looking at the numbers, like a couple of things that concern me. The Chris Abrams guy that has 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's basically Tyke territory, right?
Yep. He's tied with Tyke for second in the SEC for picks.
Yeah, you'll be looking for who he's matched up against. Trying to see like how they move him around, because it could be a situation where you've got like Kamari Lassiter, where he's basically cutting off an entire side of the field kind of situation.
Yeah.
The other guy, you got Darius Robinson with 4.5 sacks. He's obviously, he's got more sacks than anybody on our squad, right? So right. We'll be looking to neutralize him, basically.
Yeah.
And this offensive line has done pretty well at that.
They've kept Carson clean. They've kept him clean, and I don't know, man. Like they've really gelled. I know it's pretty remarkable considering the shuffling around we've had to do with injuries. So
my buddy Stacy.
That's it.
We're friends. We're friends.
Love it. All right. Well, why don't we before we move on to the defense, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that season 4 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxytime. So Oxytime is a custom Swiss watch company. You've got to go check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship collection. So John and I both have our 2021 watch. We love to wear. Every watch is officially licensed by both the University of Georgia and the College Football Playoff. It's got the CFP logo. You've got the Power G. I know the 2022 editions. I think most of them they say I'll say "Go Dogs" in the face. So they're beautiful watches, self-winding. This is the first watch I've had like this. Definitely love having mine. So go check them out at axiatime.com. It's AXIATIME.com. And as we always remind you, you can use the code MyGottaPodcast and get a custom presentation box so you can put your watch on display as well. And then always don't forget, head over to Classic City Collective. They've got some limited edition watches there as well that are signed by Kirby Smart. So you can find those at classiccitycollective.com. Amen. All right. So for the defense, our defense, when Missouri has the ball, what are we looking for? So I know this is kind of the part we were both kind of we were kind of itching to get to because everyone's been talking about the Missouri offense. Again, similar theme. What I mentioned earlier around like, you go back and you watch last year, it's the same guys. So Brady Cook, everyone's been talking him up. He was a quarterback last year. He's thrown for 2,259 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 3 picks. I will add he's mobile. So he's also the team's third leading rusher. He's got 59 carries for 134 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So something to watch for. As far as the running backs, their leading rusher, so their number 1 and 2 backs, they were also both on the team last year. But Cody Schrader has kind of emerged as the workhorse back for them. So he's got 140 carries for 807 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's a senior. He was a senior last year. I don't know if you remember, John, we talked about him last year coming in because he had transferred from a Division II school. So 2 years ago, Cody Schrader was like the leading rusher in Division II at Truman State. And then he transferred to Missouri last year. You may remember what we've basically said was kind of like the play of the year last year, where Missouri ripped off a long run and Malachi Starks ran the guy down and tackled him at the goal line. That was this guy. That was Schrader. So he's back. And then at receiver, though, the leading receiver in this game last year, like we already mentioned, he now plays for the Georgia Bulldogs. But so Luther Burden, kind of super sophomore, he's really taken a step forward this year, was a 5-star recruit. But so he's got 61 catches for 905 yards and 6 touchdowns. So behind him is a guy, Theo Weiss Jr., 440 yards and 5 touchdowns. So right there in the touchdowns, but had like half the yards, less than half the yards. So I mean, it starts with Brady Cook and Luther Burden. Yeah. And I'm going to be looking for Kamari Lassiter, who you mentioned earlier. I'm interested to see what we do there, right? Because when it's South Carolina game, when we were struggling to cover Leggett, and we put Lassiter on him instead of being on the side of the field and just had him cover a guy. I'm curious to see if we do that. So do we have like Kamari Lassiter play a side of the field, or do we have him shadow Burden? That'll be something to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Like you look at the numbers, and everything on paper shouts like, "Oh man, this is going to be a tough game," right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it's not going to end up to be in that way, but I look at the teams that they've played, right? So here's a rundown of the teams that they played. They played South Dakota, they played Middle Tennessee, they played Kansas State, they played Memphis, they played Vanderbilt. That was their opening gauntlet that they played against. Not exactly a murderer's row, right?
Right.
Then they lost to LSU 49-39. Brady Cook got his share, he got his yards. Schrader got his yards. Burden got his yards, which, by the way, Burden, by and large, he's receiving over 100 and, over 100 yards per game, roughly, right?
Yeah.
But then you start getting into the meat of their schedule. I don't know what happened with the LSU game. You look at those stat lines, and I'm like, how the hell did they lose that game? Defense optional, right? But then you get to the Kentucky game, and Kentucky gave them a scare, right? 38-21. Brady had his worst game, pretty much his worst game of the season, except for the very first game, which is kind of weird, against South Dakota. But Kentucky is not super great against the pass. Kentucky's pass defense is ranked 12th in the SEC. LSU's pass defense is ranked 10th in the SEC. Georgia's pass defense is ranked number 2 in the SEC.
Yeah.
So Mr. Cook has not played a team on the caliber of Georgia. Now, do I think that he's going to get his yards? I certainly do. I still look at like what, let's move on. So Cook had his worst game since the first game of the season. He only threw for 175 yards against Kentucky. You say, okay, well, how did they end up beating Kentucky 38-21? Well, Schrader rushed for 71 yards, and guess who didn't have a big game? Luther Burden. The high reception, leader in that game was the Weiss Jr. guy. Have we mentioned him? Theo Weiss?
Yeah. He's the second leading receiver.
The second leading receiver, yeah. So, but he only had 66 yards in that game. So Kentucky was able to hold Luther Burden out, basically. And that was a game that was on the road at Kentucky. Oh, and by the way, all these games, by and large, they've all been Missouri home games. They've only played 2 away games at this point. They played at Kentucky and they played at Vanderbilt. All of those other games were home games. So we are the best team that they've played, and they got us on the road.
Yeah.
I think that this sets up for a pretty decent game for the Bulldogs to put something down on paper. I'm just not super convinced on the Missouri side of things. I mentioned Kentucky. They played South Carolina. Obviously, they beat the pants off South Carolina, right? But who hasn't? Like honk if you beat the hell out of South Carolina. But he didn't throw for over 300 yards in that game, probably because Schrader was running for almost 160. They had a big game against South Carolina, but then you look at the stats, and South Carolina has the worst pass defense in the country, or in the SEC. Sorry.
Yeah.
So all of those teams they've played, LSU ranked 10th, Kentucky ranked 12th, Vanderbilt ranked 13th, South Carolina ranked 14th. You start to get a sense as to why the line was what it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And then they're coming into a hostile environment, 3:30 p.m. afternoon kickoff. And they got to come between the hedges. Like I said, I think that last year, the environment there was a really big factor in that game. And I fully expect it to be a factor here in this game as well. And actually, you know what? Something I meant to talk about earlier and forgot. The College Football Playoff rankings come out this week. And I think as weird as this is to say, I don't think we're going to be number one. We weren't last year when the first rankings came out, and we played like we were angry about it. And so I actually think that could be a little extra motivational factor right there. So
I hope so. I just don't. I don't know. I mentioned the pass defense numbers. The rush defense numbers don't look much better. Vanderbilt 14, LSU 12, South Carolina 11. Kentucky had the number 6. Has the number 6 rush defense in the SEC. We are the absolute beast on their schedule, and I just don't know that they're going to be able to run with us.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you, John, is everyone's talking about their offense, but all you're saying is
all I'm saying is that they haven't played. they ain't played anybody, Paul. Missouri ain't played anybody.
Love it. Cool. Yeah, I think that's probably about all I got on the defense. So I'm with you. I agree. I had noticed the same stuff.
Well, all right. So here's the only other items that I'm going to add about our defense. I feel like that whatever happened in the off week, we sorted out some things on the off week, like not only from a personnel perspective on the offensive line with the shuffling and all that stuff we talked about, but something happened with the defense because the defensive line was able to start suddenly getting pressure when we haven't gotten pressure on even lowly Vanderbilt, right? Like we haven't been able to get a lot of pressure across the board to the point where it impacted the game.
Right.
And I feel like that they have decided that they're going to allow this is my hope, right? Like we've had a body of work from some of our senior starters and our leaders on the team that have been in with the program for a long time, and they've done okay, right? Like they haven't been like lights out, right? Well, you start letting Marvin Jones Jr., you start letting Michael Williams, like you start letting some of these young guys play and show their talent level, and I feel like we were able to get a spark out of the young guys. And so what I'm looking for is for that to carry over to an offense that actually has a pulse, and to see the defense actually like show me.
Oh, sorry.
Show me. Have the defense show me the ability to get to the quarterback and impact an effective offense. Because by and large, what we're seeing here is that this may be the team that might be the closest to what we're going to see for LSU, right? Like, I just gave you the defensive numbers for LSU. They're not that great on defense. Talk about looking and clinching the SEC, which, by the way, like, if we win this game, are we clinching the SEC if we win this game? Because I feel like no. Okay.
No, and it's because Missouri only has. So Missouri has one lot. They would technically, I think we would own the tiebreaker with Missouri. If we win this game, I think technically Tennessee is still in it.
Okay.
But I will say, I mean, if they this is for first place in the East, because they would own it with a tiebreaker over us should they do this. So yeah, but we cannot clinch yet. I do know that.
Okay. What this team is going to show you is what it might look like to play LSU, is all I'm saying. And as I look at the numbers, like I saw some questions raised on who we would rather play, and I knee-jerk reaction was like Alabama. But like, as I look at the numbers here, I don't know. I don't know. Alabama's defense looks pretty decent. They look serviceable, more so than they did at the beginning of the season. Maybe that's just optics. But what I see on the numbers here is that LSU's defense is trash.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I agree, dude, on the young guys. And then the other thing, because Jalen Walker had a good game against Florida. And then also, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins coming back from injury. That was his return from injury against Florida. And he looked good too. So agree. Get some of those, keep those guys out there.
Right.
All right. I have a shocking development on the special teams front, John.
Let me guess.
Are you sitting down? I feel like you need to be sitting down for this.
I'm sitting down.
Missouri does not have an Australian punter.
Wait, what? Something to watch out for, guys.
He's from Missouri. So Luke Bauer is their punter. He's from St. Louis. So very interesting. So we asked, is there anyone in the SEC without an Australian punter? The answer is yes, Missouri. Again, clearly these guys don't belong in the SEC. Sorry. Anyways, their kicker, though, I don't know. Do you remember this guy last year? Their kicker, Harrison Mevis. Like, he drilled some kicks against us last year. He actually hit like a 50-something yarder against us and did like a Mr. Roboto dance. I actually made a GIF of it. I think that was the first time I've ever GIFed an opposing player. But the kicker is good. They call him the thicker kicker.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
I did see this.
yeah. So that's him. So I don't know. He's his percentage is lower though than I would think, just from remembering him last year. He's 13 of 19 on the season for field goals. So that's all I got.
It's the swirling winds, Jim.
Yes. That and then again, a reminder, no one has returned a punt against Georgia yet all season. So we'll watch that. Can someone return a punt?
You gotta come up with a name for that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. What a stat. Like, that's nuts.
I wonder if anything like that exists in college football.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right.
I'm hoping that somebody makes a big deal about that at some point on a broadcast.
I mean, they mentioned it in the Florida game. They did.
They didn't make a big deal about it.
They didn't make it a big deal. It should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah. At what point do you decide that we should at least point out that, hey, no one's ever returned a kick against Georgia?
It's ridiculous. All right. But so obviously Thorson's still doing this thing, and Payday has been money. Kick the ball out of the end zone on the kickoff, John. That's my request.
Been money. Did you do that on purpose, or did you even realize it?
I didn't even realize it. I didn't even tell you this happened during the game. This legit happened in the Florida game. We had like a nice pass to Dominic Lovett. And I said,
I'm loving it.
I said, love it. And Kim looked at me like, seriously?
I feel like the broadcast made the I'm loving it joke
Did they? Oh
Yeah.
man. This is so good. So hey.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
So
Scary.
all right. Let's hit the listener questions, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Well, our listener questions are brought to you by Working Web Media. So we've talked about we weren't happy with our website on mygodapodcast.com, and we reached out to Working Web Media to help us redesign it. So they sat down with us, talked about what we were looking for, and we were able to relaunch a brand new site this year. So be sure to go check out that site. We've got our store there with all our merch. If you're watching on YouTube, the hats that John and I wear on the shows, those are all available there as well. But so if you've got a small business, you need help with your website or just your online presence in general as well, go reach out to them and let's see if they can help you out. To do that, you can go to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent you their way. All right, John, first question from friend of the show, Chris Marler at Vern Funquist on Twitter.
Noted Georgia fan.
Was this from the last time y'all played a currently ranked team? I mean, come on, Chris. So the reference here was the GIF. We always have a GIF when we ask for listener questions. And it was
what's a GIF?
What's a GIF? I don't know. An animated picture. And this one is from some old footage. You found this one. It's, like the cheerleaders around the field. So it's an old one. But, Chris, it's Homecoming. It was a reference to Homecoming. So sorry. No.
Which Missouri created. So there's some relevance there.
Exactly. Look, we know what we're doing. Okay.
Totally.
All right. 51-7 GATA. If I would have told you in 2000 that Missouri would one day be in the SEC East, what would have been your response? I mean, I've been like, what?
Missouri?
I mean, that probably would have been it.
You know what? I would have probably been like,
oh. Well, no, yeah, you would have said, show me where that is on a map and how is that going to be in the East, right? Like,
exactly.
I would have even understood the Southeastern Conference because like South in Missouri, but the fact that they're in the East and not the West, the East,
the East is, well,
it's definitely ridiculous.
You got Texas coming in too, so it's like, I don't know. I don't even know what to do with this anymore.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of the end in 2012.
That's right. All right. Next up, Alex Garnto, CB15. That's Carson Beck. Seems to get better and better as the season moves forward. Never hesitates. Does he creep into Heisman consideration with a big performance against Mizzou? Side note: nothing about Missouri is Southern. # Do they even have sweet tea there? Agreed.
They got barbecue. That kind of counts.
Okay. So I think. Okay, so we've doubled up episodes tonight. So I can't remember on which episode you said this, John, but I know you said you're considering taking a flyer on Carson as a Heisman candidate. So
it was our last episode. Yeah, since I was standing in line at Six Flags, I had a lot of time to like look at stuff, and I remember thinking I saw the question come through on Twitter, and I remember thinking to myself, I wonder what his Heisman odds are at this point, and I looked it up, and basically you throw $100 bet on it or a $50 bet on it, and you could probably net like $1,500 or something like that if you won $1,800 or something like that, whatever the odds were. And that was like, I'm not a big gambler, but like Buddy's been throwing for 300 yards a game like all season long. Yeah. And when it kind of goes back to the whole Brock Bowers conversation we had earlier this season. Like, in order for Bowers to be considered for the Heisman, he needed to execute the numbers, and the math for him to get there had to basically replicate game after game after game.
Yeah.
At that point, obviously Bowers is not, he got hurt, hopefully he comes back soon, but the situation for Beck hasn't changed since then. He's still produced at the level that he was producing when he had Bowers at his disposal. Exactly. So for him to continue on that trajectory, if he's throwing for 300 plus a game, couple touchdowns and no interceptions, and completing 78% of his passes or 75% of his passes, whatever the numbers are, like he's gonna get there. Like, especially if our defense keeps performing the way that they're performing, like at some point the math is going to math his way into that conversation. And when we keep winning, emphasis, when we keep winning these games, like there's going to be no other like way around it. Like you're going to have to start talking about it. I mentioned it on the last episode. JJ McCarthy is getting all this Heisman hype right now. And because he's playing for Michigan, and Michigan is the pretty contestant, or the belle of the ball, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And Georgia's the forgotten lover, however you want to characterize it, that's just creeping in behind and jump into the homecoming celebration and be crowned. And Carson Beck's going to be right there to receive it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
the path. The path is for Bobo to continue to do what Bobo has been doing all season long, which is basically prove all the haters wrong, and everybody that hated on Bobo at the beginning of the season is going to be eating crow. And let me tell you, man, like I'll say this right here. Like if this, I think that who was it? Was it Dog Stats that posted about the stats for the offense? Like basically the one blight on this offense is the red zone conversion rates, the touchdown conversion rate for red zones, which you and I and everybody on the text thread have been super frustrated with all season long. Like Bobo busts out that play call against Vanderbilt, the whip route or whatever that scored a touchdown. Like, I don't know what we're doing on the when we get to the goal line situations, but we've got to figure that out. And if we were to figure something out, like Beck would probably have, I don't know, he'd probably have like 5 or 6 more touchdowns than he has right now, passing or rushing.
Manufactured adversity, John. Manufactured adversity.
Kirby doesn't care about the Heisman Trophy for anybody.
Exactly.
We're just going to win 3 national championships and have no Heisman, except for Stetson showing up in New York.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Brett Belding. Actually, we hit his first question. Was part of your fun facts. Where did the nickname Mizzou originate? The only thing I'll add to that, John, is at the time that came out, they were Missouri State University, and so that's why they were MSU at the time, because they were Missouri State, and so that's where the MSU, Missouri State.
Oh, did I leave that Mizzou part
out? Man. And then other fun fact for Brett, because Brett was in the Redcoats. The Missouri marching band is known as Marching Mizzou. So just FYI. All right. Brett wants to know which is better, St. Louis or Kansas City barbecue. Do you have an opinion on this?
Kansas City barbecue.
Okay. I'll go.
You may recall Carter and I took a trip to St. Louis last year for his birthday. It's kind of like become like this birthday tradition with him at this point. Went to Colorado this year, and then St. Louis last year. Saw Cardinals play the Braves. Had barbecue in St. Louis. I was kind of like relatively unimpressed, but I have been to Kansas City and I've had Kansas City barbecue, and Kansas City barbecue is very good. I may be a little biased because I've gotten to the age now where things give me heartburn. Pulled pork barbecue, like by and large, gives me heartburn at this point. I don't know why. It's super frustrating for me because I love barbecue.
Yeah.
But smoked brisket does not. And I love brisket. So.
Okay, so wait. So you said you prefer Kansas City?
That's Kansas City brisket, yeah. Kansas City barbecue, which in my opinion, I don't know, I'm not from there, but like I feel like the beef side of barbecue is big in Kansas City and St. Louis. From what I saw, maybe I was only limited to the downtown area, but like I saw beef and I saw all these things, but like it felt like it was kind of like here, the barbecue was kind of like in Georgia.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm partial to North Carolina barbecue, but at any rate,
here's my beef with the North Carolina barbecue. It's more about the sauce.
I actually don't think it is. There's just there's an argument between the Carolinas of which sauce is better, but you don't necessarily have to have the sauce. So, just my 2 cents.
Is it pork or is it beef? Like what makes North Carolina barbecue North Carolina barbecue?
Yeah, it's the pulled pork.
I mean, but Georgia has pulled pork too. Like it's Georgia pulled pork.
Yeah, I get.
What makes the difference?
Technically, yes, there is a vinegar-based sauce.
There it is, Jim. Yes. It's the sauce.
But I don't cook it in the sauce. I use this. I add the sauce later. Sauce. Yeah. Whatever. Well, some people spray it in the sauce. They
do spray. Yeah. Are you a sprayer or are you a mopper?
Actually, neither. I cook it dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do dry. I do a dry rub and cook it, and then I do put this. I like the sauce, so I like the vinegar based sauce.
I
So,
feel as though you have just described North Carolina barbecue, in my opinion.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Chance Dog 19, Chase Kelly. Is it what's that or who's that? Which is allegedly coming down the track or tracks. Okay.
you have the best answer for this. Like you're like a phonetics or grammar
So
person, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the deal. The official chant comes from the Redcoat Marching Band. And so they say, what's that coming down the track? Because what is it? It's a mean machine in red and black, right? So machine, therefore it's what? That's why people get so mad about. The only thing I'll say is that when I was a student, what I remember is the drunk guy on the street would say, who's that coming down the track? A mean some bitch in red and black. Sorry, Carter. But that's what people would say. So I think that's how it kind of diverted. So there's like the Redcoat and official version that is what's that coming down? And then there's the drunk guy that could be who if you're describing a person. That's how it happened. Officially, it's what?
Well, isn't the official song, like, to go further into the whole repertoire, right? Like they say the Georgia Redcoat Marching Band, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then later in the on the other version, like the drunk obnoxious.
The drunk obnoxious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard that
again. That's the Who, right?
Exactly. I've heard the drunk. Yes, exactly. So that's kind of where it comes from to me. But if you're being a stickler, it's the what in the mean machine, etc. So
my exposure on this whole thing is largely based on my tailgate experience when I was an undergrad. And it was Ryan Wynn getting up on top of a bus or truck or something and yelling out the Who.
Yes, agreed. I probably heard it Who more in college.
Yeah.
Than what. So anyways, that's my take. Let's see. All right. Ruse Dixie Dog. What kind of bourbon will dogs fan forever? That's Greg. Show me at the Misery tailgate this weekend. So I don't know. You got to show up to find out. Greg put some answers on Twitter, but I don't think he's being serious.
I don't think he's being serious either. Although if he is being serious, I'll take one.
Seriously. Hey, yeah, agreed. Hey, the spread's going to be good no matter what's there. How do you know that?
The old Fitz I've actually never had. I have to add that clarification on there. I've never had the old Fitz that he mentioned. So
okay.
Have you?
No, I haven't had anything that he mentioned. So we'll see.
Wait, what? Wasn't it Weller 12? You never had Weller 12? Oh no, Pappy was what
it was. Pappy.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not. Bar. You just gotta go to a bar and just order
get it.
something. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like completely stupid, completely insane. We've got a bar here in Marietta called Max. They have a lot of stuff that you never would. The average person just wouldn't find on the shelf or in the store or whatever, and you can just order it. It's stupid expensive. It's like $40 a pour, $24 a pour, whatever it is, but you at least get to taste it. You can see you've had it.
Right. Let's see. Next up, Fletcher Proctor. Which here's my basketball minute, John, for Fletcher. There was an exhibition game tonight. It was not broadcast anywhere. You couldn't even stream it. But actually, I haven't seen the final score. It's a bit late, but they were up pretty big. And I know the entire starting five was all newcomers, transfers and such. But it sounds like the Dogs got off to a decent start in the exhibition game tonight. So gearing up for hoops. Just had a commit from a big 5-star. So we'll have to keep an eye on Mike White and the hoops team.
I was about to say, is basketball good? Are we going to have basketball episodes now?
We might have to. Oh, dude, I would love that. I would love that. You would just be sitting there like I sit there when you talk about Manchester United.
Yes. Yes.
So good. Okay,
I put more effort into it than you do.
Fair.
Where do we stand with Mr. Wilkins? I guess we're going to go off on a
there's
minute.
Yeah, so there was so we have Asa Newell committed Last week there is another guy, and I'm blanking on his name. But he was down to basically was down to Georgia and Alabama. Was supposed to commit over the weekend, but delayed his commitment. So that's all that I know right now. Those are the only two I've heard of late. So, yeah. All right. Fletcher says, do we give Dom a few extra targets against his former team? And then he said, and there will be zero chance we sleepwalk against these guys like we did last year in Como because of a year ago, and the fact that we don't have many ranked wins at this time makes me think we'll be locked in. So, agreed. I don't know. I feel like I know Kirby got asked in the press conference about Dom playing against his former team, and he kind of gave the it's just another game answer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm actually not sure.
It means something to him. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Carson Beck was once committed to Florida, right?
Right.
I mean, he's from there. Where's Dominic Lovett from?
He is from Missouri.
He's from Missouri. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
This is basically the wide receiver version of Carson Beck's game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be looking to make a statement, and I guarantee you that it's got to be in the back of his mind, right? It's got to be in the back of his mind to make a statement. I feel like everything at this point is recruiting, and we've made the joke that when Bowers went down, the joke was that up to that point was that all Georgia does is throw the tight end. Georgia's tight end. There's no need for us. That's why I think these wide receivers weren't coming, because there was no we weren't throwing to wide receivers. We're throwing to tight ends. So that's why we're losing out on everybody. So
right
now the flip side of it is that, okay, well, we just had Ladd McConkey come back his first game, and he's blowing the doors off from the wide receiver position. So the takeaway here should be that we're going to get the ball to the playmakers that are on the field. And if you're a playmaker, you're going to have an opportunity at the University of Georgia. I do think that there's an element of that message that's going on right now. So I would love for Dom to be that guy. I'd love for Ra to be that guy, to be honest with I've been clamoring for Ra to have his coming out party, but I'd be totally fine with Lovett having his coming out party.
Yeah, agreed. He's up to he's now our second leading receiver, by the way. Lovett is. He passed Rosemary-Jacksaint for second receiving yards. So agreed. All right, let's see. Friend of the show, Tim Riley. Mizzou wins if ... And he said, and scoring more points is not an answer. I mean, honestly, I feel like, so if we look at last year, right? Georgia got off to a slow start. They were disruptive. We had turnovers. Georgia had all kinds of mistakes, and we still found a way to win. But so it's that kind of stuff, right? It's mistakes. Georgia has to make mistakes for Missouri to win this game.
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I still think that LSU's defense is suspect, but had Missouri not thrown 2 interceptions, I feel like that they probably would have won that game. It's turnovers. I would say if Carson Beck has 3 interceptions, for example, we probably are going to be in some trouble.
Yeah.
And you could extend it to if we have 3 total turnovers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like we've reached the point of what we talked about last year, right? It's self-inflicted wounds. That it's going to have to be Georgia's self-inflicted wounds for Missouri to win this game.
Yeah, if Carson Beck never throws an interception and we never lose a turnover the rest of the way,
yeah,
welcome home, 3rd national championship in a row.
Right. All right, let's see. Lee Munger. Should Georgia lawmakers pass a law that Missouri residents can double their NIL if they commit to an in-state Georgia school for no reason whatsoever? So, Missouri has this, they have some crazy NIL law, and that was the perceived reason why Luther Burden stayed home. So, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, I'm still confused. What is it that they could do? Are they doubling money? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, and I know they've got there's a lot of big money in Missouri, but.
So, a matter of fact, I didn't mention it. Sam Walton is actually an LSU or Missouri alumnus. Okay, so here's where I would say with that, Georgia's just passed a law where the high schoolers can do can get their NIL deals as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was what they were referring to, where, you know, if you commit to Missouri, then you can capitalize on NIL in high school and all that kind of stuff. But like, I don't know if there's an angle for UGA, much like what we've seen with Kirby and the Georgia State Legislature doing their whole like open records request adjustments, where basically you have to like wait 9 months or 6 months or something like that to get a response from the university.
Yeah.
On any open records requests. I wouldn't put it past the legislature to do something like that. But like, I'm super confused on this one. I don't know what it is that would benefit them. That's a law like that would make it more beneficial for you to go to Missouri as opposed to Georgia.
Yeah. I will, all I was just going to add was there are things that we can do, without a law. So, you know, support the companies that are supporting the students and support the companies that are linked up with the collective as well. So, you know, these are not sponsors, but I'm just saying like these are companies that are working with the Classic City Collective. Well, Oxia Time is a sponsor and they work Classic City Collective, but you know, that helps. The Apotheos Roastery coffee, right? Like they've got collective coffee, and then instead of Tito's vodka, get your Hunker Down vodka, right? And some of that money is going into the collective, which is going into the Georgia players. So
yeah,
there's stuff we can do too.
You can basically look at all of the collective companies and look at the folks that are like very visually apparent at within the athletic department, like you know, the dealerships that sell the cars, for example, or that that Kirby's appearing on, you know, the BMW. I can't remember what the BMW dealership is up there, but like the Ford dealer that's up there. You know, anybody that is contributing to the university at a high level is going to be featured. So just find those and, you know, move with your dollars, right?
Yep. All right, Dogs Forever. What grown man matchups are you seeing that could cause the Dogs trouble early on? Which I don't know if you remember the whole old man football versus grown man football. That was back in the 2012 game. But I mean, you know, it's Luther Burden, I think that's the grown man matchup, honestly, from on them. So it's
I would say Luther Burden, if he's lined up against Smile Mondon, that scares the hell out of me.
Man, I don't think we're gonna have Mondon covering.
I don't
Luther
think
Burden.
we're gonna have, but you know what I mean? Like if for some reason they get some motion going, get different personnel out there, they start moving the people around. Sometimes you create mismatches, right?
Right.
That would scare me. I would say that the defensive back and the defensive linemen that have the sacks and interceptions kind of scare me a little bit. But I'm not like, I say that like you're kind of reaching it at that point, right? Like what scares me here? Well, I can tell you that the defense doesn't scare me, but that guy does.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. A couple of folks with some Brady Cook questions. Perry McIntyre just said, how does the defense adjust for Brady Cook? And Army Dog Charlie maybe had a little bit of suggestion. Who's the spy for Cook? How strong are they up front, both sides? So I think we talked about their lines or the defensive line with the sacks, et cetera. And I think they play a physical brand of football. I know their rush offense is like a little bit different than standard, but Kirby said they're not like the only team that does that. But I don't know. I mean, to me, if anyone is spying Cook, I do think he would be your guy you just mentioned.
Smile Mondon.
He's our faster inside linebacker. That would be my take there.
Hey man, in LSU's win against this team, they had a couple of interceptions against this team.
Yeah.
Major Burns actually had a pick six.
That was the game sealing pick six was Major Burns. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Former Georgia defensive back couldn't cut it at UGA, and
he went into the portal.
A portal transfer. I'm surprised you didn't do that for Dominic Lovett when we mentioned him.
Sorry, yeah, he came in from the portal.
That wasn't even planned. Um, no, I mean, like LSU was able to create turnovers, and their pass defense sucks. Like I don't know what to say. Like my like we're gonna put Brady Cook in. We're gonna put Brady Cook in situations where he's gonna have to make decisions that are gonna be really hard for him.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Chad Jarvis. I'm going to take one of Chad's questions because he had more burden, but I think we talked about him. But what's your favorite Missouri moment? And I definitely have one. I don't know if you have one. Georgia, Missouri. Do you have a favorite moment?
A favorite Missouri moment. All right. So I'll give you one.
Okay.
The game in Athens that I took my daughters to, where we kind of struggled. I think was it 21 that they was that when they were here?
I mean, they did play here in 21.
Yeah, it was 21. Yeah, that was the game where we kind of had to have a late kind of surge to beat them. That was one of the first games that my daughter was in, so that's probably my favorite Missouri. I brought all my girls basically to that.
Gotcha. Mine would be in that 2012 game, in the grown man football game. And it's a super random moment from that game. I remember
the 21 game?
No, 2012.
Oh, 2012, sorry.
In the first one. So like Jarvis Jones kind of took that game over, had like a strip sack late in the game. Or no, he had an interception late in the game. But at any rate, there was a huge pivotal moment when Missouri ran a fake punt and we stopped it. And like back then, it felt like whenever anyone ran a fake punt against us, we would stop it. But it wasn't just that; it was who made the tackle and who stopped it. And it was Richard Samuel, which because at that point he wasn't really playing running back anymore because Gurley was on the scene. We had Gurley and we had Keith Marshall at that point. I don't know. It was just a big special teams moment. And I remember like tweeting about it, like as I was like rewatching the game that night, like I'm sitting here rewatching the game and oh my gosh, we actually stopped a fake punt. So I don't know, that one always kind of stands out to me. So shout out to Richard Samuel.
Fun times.
Let's see. All right. Back to back Broham. How do you think the guys are able to continue to maintain their focus and intensity after a big rivalry? I think we're spoiled to have so many guys that played their roles and will be able to pop at other times later. See Ra, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, Malachi Starks, etc. I agree, man. Like I think he goes back to you watch these guys, like we've talked about, go watch their YouTube shows, go listen to their podcasts. They've got a connection. And I don't see them letting each other lose focus. And honestly, certainly not in a home game like this.
We've got a young team and they're starting to hit their stride.
Yeah.
And we joke about the Mark Richt years and like people, we were the butt of a lot of jokes about not being able to finish the drill or whatever, being so close, but yet so far. The difference in those teams and our teams is that we're 3 deep at pretty much every position at this point. Whereas in those years and in those times, maybe you had a 2 deep, maybe at some positions. It's across the board. I mean, like if you were to rewind in time and tell me that we're going to be missing we're going to be missing AJ Green and Todd Gurley and
right.
And one of our offensive linemen, names are blanking on me here, but like if all of those things were to happen, like I would have been in meltdown mode back then.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what's happened. Like we're missing Ladd McConkey, we're missing Brock Bowers, we're missing Amarius Mims, we're missing all these different players that would have been backbreaking losses. And to Gary's, math equation on how you replace them or whatever.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. That's the embarrassment of riches that we have and the talent that this team has acquired over the last, 7 years, 6 years, however long Kirby's been here, right?
Yeah. 2016.
Yeah. He's done it every single way. And that train is not stopping.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. We're going to close this out with John Michael D. Are you guys taking credit for a Tate Ratledge bump? dude played his best game of the year in the cocktail party. Obviously, you come on My God a Podcast, you play great in the next game.
Yeah, seriously. If you're looking for a My God a Podcast bump, like just give us a shout out, and we'll bring you on.
He did say, he added, if healthy, we seem more than fine at running back now. So what's more fun to watch? Edwards, Milton, and Bell eating, or Seabreezy cooking? Seabreezy being Carson Beck, John.
Carson Beck, yeah. I was like,
wait, hold on. Wait. Oh, as someone who likes to run the damn ball, it's hard for me not to say Edwards, Milton,
it's
and
Carson
Bell.
Beck.
Yeah,
for me, it's Carson Beck.
Yeah, that's fine.
The kid is living the year that DJ Shockley was in 2005.
Yeah.
And I want to see him cap it off. I want him to be in the confetti. I want him to be in New York. I want him to be the poster child for the anti-NIL era.
Yeah. I mean, he's what's the fact, like, he was the only guy of his quarterback class who had yet to start that didn't transfer. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I want him to be the poster child for why you come to the University of Georgia, because if you stick around, trust the process, you're going to get your flowers.
Agreed. Love it. All right, you ready, GP?
I'm ready as I ever will be.
Oh my God! Trying to put glasses on it. Show me!
It's time for Coach's Over-Unders Misery Edition. Oh, you know what? We failed to mention this. I messed up on our review episode.
I was about to say, did we do the review?
Yeah, we didn't.
You didn't spike the football? I
didn't spike the football. Damn. I went, and now I can't even find the stats. I am ahead. I went. I think my updates didn't save or something. I went. I only got one wrong, from what I recall, last week. So I've extended my lead. JP got some catching up to do. I know we both got the we got the miscellaneous wrong last week, because that was the over under on Tebow mentions. We both went over, and it hit the under. All right, so I will go first. Over under offense. Starting with the offense. Over under 285 yards passing for the Georgia offense, and I'm going to go over.
I'm also going to go over.
Over to you. Over under 2.5 rushing touchdowns for the Georgia offense.
I'm going to go over.
Yes. Yes, me too. Over. Over under 155 yards rushing for the Georgia offense. I'm going to go. I will go over.
I'm going to go under.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a bone to pick. I have a bone to pick with the rushing team, rushing offense. Something to watch out for. I totally didn't mention this before, but Kendall Milton, whenever he's in the game, we run the ball.
Yeah, I remember you texting
every single time. I want to see that adjust.
Okay. Let's see. Over to you on the defense. Over under 275 passing yards for Missouri.
Over.
Oh man, I'm gonna go under to try to extend my lead. Over
the luxuries of having the lead, a comfortable lead.
Over under 125 rushing yards. This is me. I'm gonna go under.
I'm gonna go under as well.
Okay, and then over to you. Over under 17.5 first half points for Missouri.
Under.
Agreed. Under. And then total field goals attempted combined is the special teams.
Combined.
Yep.
Okay.
Over under 3.5. I'm gonna go over.
I've got to go over on that lines.
Yeah. They get the thicker kicker. And then
just looking at our red zone.
Right. Miscellaneous over under 5.5 Brock Bowers sideline shots.
Is it to me?
Yeah.
Let me go under.
Ooh, I'm gonna go over. All right, we'll see. Well, the saga will continue.
I've got to make up some ground here. We're getting late in the season.
So good, so good. Shout out to Coach Drill Bill. Always appreciate it. And I don't know what I know. I wrote down all the updated stuff that he sent us, and I somehow lost it. So I know I still extended my lead. So, Coach, thanks for checking in for us. All right, final predictions. CBC R2 Sam has Georgia 33.4 to 17. Oddshark has Georgia favored by 15.5. The over-under is 55. That gives us an implied score of Georgia 35.25 to 19.75. So like a 36-20 type game is what Vegas is telling us. The Oddshark predicted score has Georgia 42.9 to 27.2. John, you've always been asking me lately, what about the CFB Nerds model? They also have Georgia winning 32.2 to 25.5.
What did they have for Florida? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I need to go back and look at these things because it's like I feel like that some of these algorithms are just so out of whack.
If only there was somewhere you could go back and look at it.
Yeah, I know. I have to go back to the show notes, which I don't have open.
All right, last week CFB Nerds had Georgia 39.7 to Florida 12.5. It's pretty dang close.
Pretty dang close.
And then let's see, I did the scoring impact. So update on this Georgia's scoring impact against FBS. So on average, we are scoring, our offense is scoring like 6.5 more points on teams than they tend to allow. And we are holding teams to 7.5 points fewer than they tend to score. So if you apply that to Missouri's averages on the season, it would be tight, actually. That would be Georgia 32.5 to Missouri 28.28. So that one's not as much an exact science, but that's how it works. So what are you thinking, John? Or do you want me to go?
I guess is it on to me since you've got the lead?
Sure.
Since we've started to get some numbers here, the impact scores. Golly. I am going to be going 35 to 25.
35 to 25?
Yeah.
Man, tight one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go something more like 38 to 17 is kind of what I'm feeling.
That's what I was originally feeling until you told me the impact scores. So looking at that and looking at the CFB Nerds,
yeah,
looking at Oddshark, looking at CBC.
I mean, yeah. Oddshark, what? Yeah, 36 to 20 or no, 42 to 27.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like to your point, right? Of like them, their big wins have been at home. They got to go on the road. They got to come to Athens. I think it's going to be nuts there. It's going to be a crazy environment. 3:30 kickoff.
It's going to be fun.
We've been away for a while, so it'll be fun. So good deal. Two other top 25 matchups this weekend. You got Washington at USC, and then you got LSU at Bama. Who you got? LSU at Bama.
LSU's at Bama. I'm going Bama on that one.
Yeah, I think I am too.
I was looking, like I said, I was looking at the numbers and having looked at LSU's defensive numbers there, you kind of like Alabama in that game.
Yeah. I agree with you. All right. Well, I already mentioned I'm going to be in Athens. What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, what do we have going on this weekend? I know my wife has some sessions.
Okay.
On Friday, I believe. But other than that, I don't know that we have anything going on other than volleyball on Sunday. So probably get the house for the game. But I'm gonna try to make it up there, but we'll see.
Okay. I was trying to lead you into that.
Yeah.
I knew there was a chance, but I wasn't sure what the status was.
I'm debating. I'm like wavering on what I want to do because do I want to burn any equity that I have for heading up there without the kids for the Ole Miss game? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because Hunter's going to be there, etc. So
yeah. This is the last one for me. So this is the last home game for me. I cannot make it for the Ole Miss game. So looking to have a good time between the hedges on homecoming. So looking forward to it.
That'd be fun.
Cool. All right. Well, maybe I'll see you this weekend. Maybe not. If I don't, I know we'll be talking throughout the weekend. But I don't know, man. Let's send these guys back to the Midwest. I don't know.
Get out of here, guys. Go back to the West. Go West, young man.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be fun. Got the home field tailgate at the Foundry, right?
Yep, Foundry on Friday, 5:00. We'll put the info out there. Yeah, we'd love to see some folks out there if you can make it. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, if I don't see you, have fun. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
The Labor Day weekend sale is on at Tanger Outlets. Score up to 70% off at top brands like Nike Factory Store, Crocs, J. Crew Factory, Gap Outlet, and so many more. Refresh your wardrobe with the latest arrivals for less from all your favorite brands this Labor Day weekend. Tanger Outlets, always on trend, always on sale. Plan your trip at Tanger.com.